The fourth inductee for today is from Pfizer, Theresa Firestone, and presenting would be Jean Allu. Theresa and Jean, please.
It's a great privilege for me to be here today, and it's definitely is a hard act to follow, so I'm going to try to be brief as well. It's an honor, it's a privilege for me to be recognizing Theresa Firestone for this award. Theresa has been a mentor, a friend, a colleague that I've interacted and have worked with, had the pleasure to work with over the last decade. Let me start out with a little bit of Theresa's earlier days at Pfizer. She joined the company back in 1999 as a Vice President of Public Affairs and Government Relations. And what Theresa doesn't probably remember is I've had an opportunity to first interact with her when she was at the ODB. And that was back in the early 90s. She claims she doesn't remember that interaction at all. Pfizer at that time had launched a drug in Alzheimer's disease and was finding it very difficult to get the product reimbursed. And it was obvious why Theresa was hired into that mandate. It's to find a way to have this product to fill a need for patients that are in desperate need of getting this. But how was she going to do it? She found a very creative and a very novel solution for at times. She went to the government, basically said, we will offer this product for the first 12 weeks for the patients. If at the end of that 12-week period it works, then the patient will need to be reimbursed by you. There was no risk for the government to do that, and at the time that was proposed was very avant-garde. It had never been done before. And this is what characterizes Theresa for me, is that the word impossible doesn't exist in her vocabulary at all. Now, this innovation was not limited to this particular area. It was a start of a pattern of a lot of things that Theresa has undertaken within her career. Now, after graduating from University of Guelph in Family Studies, she is from PEI, she joined the Ontario government and found herself responsible for administration of the province's 10 psychiatric hospital at a time when there was a huge revolution in how patients in mental health were being treated. She then moved to head on the ODB, where many of you have had an opportunity to interact with her. And it was the starting point of the government trying to grapple with how to deal with the issues of reimbursement, cost, and managing this aging population, which we're all a part of. Then she left to head the Canadian Wholesaler Drug Association. That part of the industry was also dealing with a wave of change of company practices, company mergers, and cost pressure. And then finally in 1999 she joined Pfizer and had to go through two major mergers and acquisitions, the Warner Lambert and the Pharmacia. In 2005, she wanted to gain some additional commercial experience and did a swap with public affairs and took on responsibility of Vice President of Sales, just as the change for the pharmaceutical sales representative's role was starting to take real foothold. But that wasn't enough. 2 years later, she was named country manager of Pfizer Vienna and moved to Vienna to direct the organization as it was coping through the healthcare challenges through that industry. She came back 2 years later following that to head up the established products business unit. Pfizer restructured into 4 business units, and there was no better person to head up that business unit. It was an area where it was high unrealized value, a lot of off-patent products not being fully realized, and Theresa's challenge is to find a way to capitalize on that opportunity, partner with government to make it a win-win solution through this for them. Through all of this, Theresa has maintained a very strong commitment to community. Her volunteer commitment dates back to her university days. In addition to that, she's been involved with the Childhood Cancer Foundation, Ovarian Cancer Society. In recognition, she was awarded the Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal in 2002, has been honored by the Montreal Board of Trade as an exceptional woman for her business and achievements. I also know that despite her incredible business schedule over the years, she's always found time to mentor colleagues, particularly young women seeking their way in our tough business while managing as Theresa has to raise a family, juggle responsibilities. And I know many have benefited greatly from her example, her ideas, her counsel, and her friendship. For all those reasons, I could think it fitting to be honored by an industry as a member of the Canadian Healthcare Marketing Hall of Fame. Please join me in congratulating Theresa Firestone.
John, thank you for your very kind words. When I read the description and said lifetime achievement, it makes you feel a lot older than one likes to pretend one is. Hard to do all that by the age of 30. However, when I see people like Greg and Percy and Jerry McDowell and others who I've known for many, many years, the years start to add up. One of the advantages I've had in the last many, many years is that I've had the opportunity to work with great people and great teams, including the team that I have today at Pfizer and for the last 11 years at Pfizer. And that really helps to be able to achieve things. I have a different perspective than some people in the room. As you heard, spending a large chunk of my career in government and some in not-for-profit, and the last 11 years at Pfizer, still longer in government than in the industry. And I know there's been a lot of references. There was some this morning by Ron Clark and by Greg about the good old days. And I think I would remind some of you who used to call on me that you didn't think those were the good old days back then. And it's interesting how it looks so much better, 10, 11, 12 years later. So I would just remind you that despite all of the challenges that we have today in the industry, in another 5 or 10 years, these will be the good old days. So I suggest we enjoy them while we have them. Thank you.